It started with a whisper, not the kind that echoes through rooms or brushes against your ear, but the kind that settles beneath your skin. At first, it was just a tingle, a flicker of discomfort at the back of Daniel's neck, like a thread being pulled ever so gently from within. He had brushed it off as fatigue, a side effect of burning the candle at both ends trying to prove his worth in a world that never seemed to notice. Daniel was an invisible man walking among giants. At least, that's how it felt. The job he worked gave him no peace, only pressure. Deadlines, expectations, and unspoken competition. At home, there was only silence. No one asked how he felt. No one cared to see the storm brewing behind his calm eyes. Everyone thought he was strong. But strength, Daniel learned, could sometimes be a cage. And then came the lump. Small at first, barely noticeable. Just a rise under the skin on the left side of his rib cage. He poked it. It didn't hurt. It didn't move. It was just there. But Daniel didn't panic. Who had time for panic when life was sprinting ahead, dragging him behind like a forgotten suitcase? I'll get it checked, he told himself. Eventually, but days turned into weeks. The lump grew, not just in size, but in presence. He began to feel it, like a second heartbeat, throbbing, persistent, alive. At night, he would lie on his side and feel it pulse in rhythm with his breath. In the mirror, his skin stretched oddly over it, as if resisting its unnatural growth. Still, he ignored it, until the dreams began. In those dreams, Daniel would find himself standing in front of a mirror, shirtless. The lump was now a mound, veiny, dark, quivering. He would touch it, and it would open. Eyes, dozens of small red, blinking eyes staring back at him, whispering, "See a doctor. It's growing faster now." He would wake up drenched in sweat, clutching his side, gasping like he'd run a marathon in his sleep. But when he'd turn on the lights, the lump would look just as it always did, wrong, but still flesh. Fear crept in like a fog, and with it came the voices, not dreams anymore, not whispers from within. These voices came in moments of stillness, while brushing his teeth, or waiting for the microwave, or walking through the office corridor. You know what it is? It's not just sickness. It's a message. Time is running out. Daniel tried to convince himself it was paranoia, stress, maybe a breakdown, maybe the price of silence, of bottling everything up for too long. But deep down he knew this wasn't just physical. One evening, Daniel sat alone in his car in the hospital parking lot. The lump was now the size of a fist, pushing against his ribs like it wanted out. He looked at his reflection in the rear-view mirror. His eyes were sunken, his skin pale, his soul fraying at the edges. "I need to know," he whispered to himself. He entered the clinic. White walls, cold lights, a sterile smell of antiseptic and sadness. The nurse's smile didn't reach her eyes. The waiting room clock ticked louder than his thoughts. When the doctor finally examined him, there was a moment, a flash of concern behind his professional mask. That was when Daniel truly felt it. The terrifying truth. Something was wrong. Very wrong. "We'll need tests," the doctor said. "A biopsy. Maybe imaging." Daniel nodded numbly. He was given an appointment card. Blood samples were taken. As he walked out, something strange happened. The television in the waiting area was playing a health documentary. But right as he passed it, the screen glitched. Just for a moment, it flickered, hissed, and then displayed a message that made him freeze in his tracks. "It is growing faster. Seek the truth. Your spirit is bleeding." And then it was gone, back to regular programming. He turned around. No one else seemed to notice. No reaction. The world kept moving as if nothing happened. That night, Daniel sat on the floor of his apartment. The silence was loud again. He stared at the ceiling, hand pressed to the lump, now warm to the touch. Then, almost like a crackle in the air, the lamp beside him flickered, and a voice filled the room. Not in his head, not in his dream. A real voice. Gentle, firm, eternal. "My child, you have ignored the signs, but I have not stopped watching. This is not just illness. This is your spirit begging for light. What grows inside you is everything you buried. Daniel's breath caught. God. There was no reply, but he knew. That night, for the first time in years, Daniel cried. He cried for the things he never said, the apologies he never gave, the love he never expressed, the guilt he never forgave himself for, the faith he once had, and the emptiness he let take its place. He cried, and as he cried, something strange happened. The lump began to ache, not painfully, but deeply, like it was unraveling from within. A day later, his test result came back. There's no tumor, the doctor said, stunned. Whatever was there, it's gone. Daniel didn't say a word. He simply smiled, a tired, humble, grateful smile. But the story didn't end there. Because though the physical mark had vanished, Daniel understood now that lump had never just been a growth of flesh. It had been the manifestation of everything he ran from. His pain, his shame, his silence. It had grown because he had refused to face it. And somewhere along the way, someone had decided to intervene. A wake-up call from the divine. He knew he was being told something much deeper. Your soul is sick when you stop listening to it, and it will cry out until you answer. Daniel changed after that. He quit the job that drained his spirit, reached out to his estranged father, apologized to the friend he betrayed, and most importantly, he began to speak, to truly speak, his truth, his fears, his faith. People noticed a change, a glow, a peace, a subtle light in his eyes that hadn't been there before. But Daniel never forgot that voice, or that night, or the message, because sometimes what grows within us is not just a sickness. It's a lesson, a warning, a call to return to what we've lost in ourselves. And if we don't listen, it will grow, faster, louder, until it breaks through everything. 2 months passed since the voice, since the lump vanished, since Daniel began to feel truly alive again. He had become someone else. Or maybe, for the first time, he had become himself. Morning walks replaced sleepless nights. The mirror no longer reflected a stranger. And every evening, he lit a candle and prayed, not out of fear, but gratitude. He finally believed again in something bigger, in something holy, in something within himself. But peace is not permanent when the war isn't over. It started again. This time, not on his body, but in the world around him. The first sign came on a rainy evening. Daniel had just stepped outside the bookstore when a child brushed past him, eyes wide, drenched from the rain, whispering words Daniel couldn't make out. He turned to follow, but the child was gone. On the sidewalk where he stood, Daniel saw it, written in the condensation, on a car window, for chilling words. It's growing again, Daniel. His stomach tightened. That night he couldn't sleep. His side was clear, no lump, no pain. But his dreams returned, not like before. These were different. He stood on a cliff, high above a black ocean. Below, something massive writhed beneath the waves, huge, grotesque, with hundreds of hands reaching upward. Screaming, he heard his name again, whispers swirling like wind. You cleaned the wound, but the infection remained. When he awoke, his apartment felt colder, darker, as if something had followed him back from that dream. Over the next week, Daniel noticed his world changing. A woman on the train stared at him too long, before muttering, "You still haven't told her the truth." A voicemail appeared on his phone, blank, but playing the sound of labored breathing and faint cries. And the church he now visited daily? The priest pulled him aside one morning. "I don't mean to alarm you," the old man said, placing a hand on Daniel's shoulder. "But something walks with you, something unfinished." Daniel's heart dropped. "What do you mean?" "God heals the willing," the priest said quietly. "But the soul must confess what it fears the most, or else it stays chained to it." The words haunted him all day. That night, Daniel lit 3 candles and sat alone on his floor once again. He reached into the silence, whispering to God, "What did I not face? What did I leave behind?" The answer didn't come in words this time. It came in pain. A sharp, electric surge shot through his chest. He clutched it, gasping, falling to his knees. But there was no lump, Nothing on the surface. Just a heat, a rage, the scream from within. And then the voice again, this time louder, sadder, angrier. You lied to yourself, Daniel. You showed the world anew you, but you never let go of the deepest wound. She still haunts you. Daniel knew. Sarah, the girl he abandoned in college after she confessed her pregnancy. The one he ghosted in fear out of selfishness. The one who later took her own life. He had buried her memory, locked it in a box deep within, told himself it was a mistake of youth. But the truth? He ran. He destroyed someone's future and never looked back. The growth wasn't just fear. It was guilt. And guilt, when ignored, festers into something spiritual, something monstrous. He wept, shaking, heart-pounding. He screamed her name into the night. And again, the voice came. Not the divine one now, but hers. Sarah, you can't heal until you face me. He looked up, and there she stood, or something that looked like her, not in flesh, but in light, and shadow, a vision, a spirit, a memory clothed in sorrow. Forgive me, Daniel cried. I was afraid. I was wrong. I failed you. She stared. No anger, just a tear sliding down her cheek. I waited. All this time, I waited. Daniel fell forward. What do I do? And then she whispered the words that freed him. Speak my name. Tell the truth. Let others know what you were too weak to admit. That is your redemption. She vanished. And Daniel, for the first time, knew what he had to do. He wrote a letter, a confession. He recorded a video, shared his story, his cowardice, his sin, his change. He donated to shelters for young mothers. He volunteered. And slowly the darkness faded. The cold left. And peace? Peace returned. Not as a prize, but as a result of truth. Sometimes what grows inside us isn't illness. It's memory. It's regret. It's silence. And if we don't face it, it grows faster, louder, until even the body begins to scream. Daniel became a man of truth, of light, and though he would always carry the scar of what he once was, he no longer feared the mirror, because what you bring into the light loses its power in the dark. You who are watching this, if something is growing in you, physically, emotionally, spiritually, listen to it. Don't silence your soul. That pain you're hiding, it will speak one day with or without your permission. Better you speak it first. Don't wait until your body shouts what your heart was too afraid to whisper. The growth you ignore will one day become your God. But you still have a choice. Speak. Heal. Let it go. God is waiting to rewrite your story.